Hello, folks. Welcome to this edition of Al's Joint, where we're going to tackle all the political issues that came up this week. The White House is at it again, so let's take the gloves off and let's get at it. So, folks, let's jump right into the Terry Moran interview of Donald Trump. Terry Moran is from ABC. He was granted an interview with Donald Trump. And, of course, that interview went south right away because apparently Terry Moran had made a decision that he was going to ask real questions and was seeking real answers, and he wasn't going to let Trump off the hook with these constant lies. So the first part of the interview dealt with the Trump administration deportation policies, and of course that brought up the Abrego Garcia issue, and Trump started, of course, ranting and raving about how dangerous this person was and how he was a member of MS-13 and he had the tattoos on his hand. And Terry Moran told him that, hey, that was photoshopped. He was trying to give him an out without making him look stupid, but that's kind of hard to do.
You can't have a trial, a major trial for every person that came in illegally. We have thousands of murderers that came in. They're going to murder people. They already have murdered people in our country.
Right, so
we have to get them out, and we have to get them out fast.
Really bad guys, but in our country, even bad guys get due process, right?
If people come into our country illegally, there's a different standard. These are illegal. They came in illegally.
But they get due process.
Well, they get a process where we have to get them out. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the Venezuelans.
They get whatever my lawyers say. There's tattoos.
Oh, he had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute. Hey, Terry.
He did not have the letter MS-13.
It says MS-13.
That was Photoshopped. So let me
That was Photoshopped. Terry, you can't do that. Hey, they're giving you the big break of a lifetime. You know, you're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay. I picked you, Terry. But you're not being very nice.
It's hard to get an interview with Donald Trump and have him talk about anything of substance and not have him look stupid. But he was trying to give him that opportunity, but he kept pressing it. And finally, Terry Moran said, let's move on because we have to agree to disagree because it's clear that his hand was photoshopped. And that if you look at the picture with him and his senator, you'll show that there was no MS-13 tattoos on his hand. The scary part of this is how many other folks have they photoshopped stuff, or how many other people have they lied or doctored other documents? That's what's scary, right? It's not just the due process of Mr. Garcia anymore. Now it's about if you would go this distance, right, to Photoshop photos of somebody you accused of being a gang member. What other stuff have you lied about? Who else have you put in a position where they couldn't defend themselves? They're not here to say anything. If Mr. Garcia doesn't come back to the United States, how many of you would believe that he had MS-13 tattoos on him? Be honest with yourself. That's what they do. They'll just lie. Most of the folks are not going to fact check, so they're going to believe the lies. The next subject that they address was, of course, the tariffs. And Trump started lying again. He started lying about the price of eggs being at 70% lower. That was an outright lie. The price of eggs had just went up in the last 2 weeks, another, I believe, 14 to 15%. He's failed to bring those down. The price of gas, he said, was at in some states, $1.90 a gallon. I have no clue what he's talking about. But please, feel free to put in the comments if you're in any area or any state or city where you have gas at $1.90 a gallon. I really like to know that. He continues to lie. He has these daily cabinet meetings where folks in his cabinet members and the folks who head his agencies come to the round table and they bend the knee, they kiss his ass.
You have been in office, President Trump. Your DOJ agencies have seized more than 22 million fentanyl pills, 3,400 kilos of fentanyl since you've been your last 100 days, which saved, are you ready for this, media? 258 million lives. Kids are dying every day because they're taking this junk.
When you have the Attorney General Pam Biondi telling us that because of his policy towards fentanyl in China, that he saved 258 million American lives. There's only 340 million people in the United States. That means 75% of the folks in the United States are addicted to fentanyl or drug addicts. You just can't make this stuff up, folks. The lies, they never end. They'll look you right in the face and they'll tell you that this is a lie. I understand why the uneducated MAGA nuts followed him blindly. I understand that because he told them what he was going to give them. And it doesn't matter what he does, he's delivered on that promise. He's trying to bring back a way of life in America that they feel comfortable with. We all know what that is, right? But the educated Republicans, how do you sit back and let him lie, his administration lie repeatedly right to your face and think that's okay? So folks, hats off to Canada. The Canadians showed us that they were willing to fight for their country, and they defeated a pro wannabe Trumpster, Pierre Poilievre. Hope I'm pronouncing his name right, but I'm not. Who gives a damn? He lost. And they elected Prime Minister Mark Carney to lead their country, who set an example not only for Canada, but for the United States and the rest of the world, saying we're not going down that same rabbit hole that the Americans went through when they voted that idiot in office. I think those were his exact words, but if they're not, sue me. And the Canadians told the politicians in this election that we're not going to normalize some of the stuff that Americans did. We're not going to normalize lies. We're not going to normalize people attacking other people in their country. We're not going to normalize the fact that you think you can control the media, that you can control the courts. That's not going to happen in Canada. That was the message they sent out. So my hat goes off to the Canadian voters for doing the right thing. I want to thank you folks for tuning in to this edition of Al's Joint. Please hit like and subscribe. It really helps me out. I'm trying to get to 500 subscribers. Keep the comments coming. And thanks for watching. Take care. Join you next week.
This episode of Al's Joint is brought to you by Jackpack.